There's so many different types of graphics cards out there right now. I think Nvidia was out there pushing it first. It's like Intel. Intel was out always pushing the envelope. AMD was the little guy back in the day.
Yeah.
And now AMD has pushed the envelope where they're more powerful than Intel. At a cheaper price.
Yep.
And now it looks like Intel's trying to catch up.
I was looking at their stocks this morning and they're almost neck to neck, which is kind of crazy to think about. That little guy who caught up to Intel. I'm not going to say they've completely caught up and they're smoking them, but just to look at them play with their stock numbers and all that kind of good stuff. And when you see the gaming consoles that are coming out, the PlayStation 5s and the next Xboxes all choose simultaneously AMD.
AMD. I remember when I first built my computer. Well, the first computer I bought had an Intel chip. And when I built my first computer, 2006. It was a long time ago. I know AMD was so little. AMD was such a baby. And I remember the guy behind the counter was like, he's like, I know Intel is big. And I know, we're looking at some of the Intel chips. I was like, man, I think it was like called Black. And I forget what number the Intel was. It was like Intel Black and then something. And then there was like a Platinum and something else. And he was just like, why don't you look at this AMD? You're going to be paying half the price. And it's going to be pretty close. Like he's like, when you're looking at frames per second, when you're looking at the power pushing through, when you're looking at all that stuff, he's like, you're not going to notice it. And he's like, and you're talking about I think it was like $500 or $600 price difference.
Yeah, it was a huge price difference. But I think one of the things that kind of held them back at that point when they first came out was overheating issues and the overclocking, right? So
overclock.
Yeah.
And the guy behind the desk was like, look at some of these fans. There's some fans that will be able to really keep these things at bay where you don't have to worry about this thing exploding inside of your and I remember everybody called me crazy. I had 9 fans in that thing. I had 9 fans in my case, and then in the actual the heat sink was huge, and I had this big fan on it, and there was a thing on the side. It almost had like these air ducts that came out to the side to push the air out. So that way it didn't stay inside the case. It would just come out directly outside of the box immediately.
Right.
And I remember people were laughing at me saying like, man, like, dude, does that thing overheat that bad? And I'm just like, whatever.
It works.
I don't care. It works.
I saved me $500.
RGB wasn't a big thing back then, but I had some lights that I put in there.
Yeah.
I wish I had a picture of my old computer, man, because it looked sick. And I moved. I worked pretty quick, and I had the computer, the one that you've seen underneath my desk here. And I remember I got the next AMD because I was just so happy with it, and I've stayed with AMD ever since.
Yeah. So
I'm very happy that they've continued to push the envelope, and now they're looking at Intel eye to eye now. And when you look at these chips,
these new chips are crazy.
They're nice. So yeah, Stadia, Google, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I think it'd be really interesting to see them come out with some kind of device that will compete against the Shield. And you know what? There's nothing good for everybody when it comes to competition. When you look at PlayStation and Xbox and you see some of the stuff that they've been able to push, it's great. Like me, I know you're Xbox and I'm PlayStation. And I think it's great because they each will push the envelope. I know the new Xbox coming out has more teraflops than PlayStation.
Yeah.
But PlayStation's gonna say like you could have all the flops
you want.
You could have all the flops you want, but watch.
Right. It's definitely going to be interesting, man. I'm looking forward to a lot of things. I do hope that each company or platform pushes the envelope, but allows cross-platform gaming, right? Because a lot of those consoles, they allow you to play games, and you can play against people on different platforms. So I want to see us, as you know, tech grows, that we still continue to play well with each other.